Dick Morris. Dick, one of the other things not mentioned today is the SWIFT banking system that I know that you thought would be a good idea to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go further, I'd like to present a piece of evidence here.
Yeah.
This is from Bob Sellers.
Well, John, one of the producers on Eric Bolling's show, got this. Go ahead.
This is a remnant of the Berlin Wall, you know, a chip that was taken out of it. And it's important today because this wall is being rebuilt as we speak. The Russian offensive, Putin's engagement, which is creeping but absolutely underway, is not, in my judgment, going to end until this is rebuilt. I don't think he's going to stop until he reaches the Brandenburg Gate, which is where what used to be East Germany and is the line for the Soviet Empire.
So you take this very seriously. The people who make the argument, though, what do we care about Ukraine? It's a long way.
They're the same people who said, what do we care about Austria and Czechoslovakia and Poland? And then we ended up with the Holocaust in World War II. Putin is doing this simply as step by step by step. And this is de facto a world war. He's not going to use nuclear weapons, and we're not. But de facto, it says, I'm going to expand Russia to a point where we completely reoccupy the old Soviet Union. And the work of President Ronald Reagan is totally trampled under those tank treads. The freeing of 50 million people in Ukraine is being undone, another 150 million behind it. After this, he's going to go in the Baltic countries, he's going to go into Poland, going to go into Hungary, into the Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria.
You think it's that serious in that?
Oh, absolutely.
And to let people know, on one side of this piece of wall, it's got, there was graffiti, there was painting on one side. The other side, nothing. That's the eastern side, because it's a different world and nobody was allowed near.
You've cleaned it. There probably was at one point blood on that side of the wall.
Exactly. And I just wanted, you're a really good person to explain the difference between communism and Putin and the West.
Yes. Well, I think that the Russia has always been expansionist before it was communist, and it now is both, really, expansionist and communist, post-communist. And there are those who are minimizing this, who are saying this is an incursion, not an invasion. Even the phrase breakaway, it's not breakaway, it's takeaway. It's like, in football, it's not a fumble, it's a takeaway. These provinces were taken from the Ukraine in 2014, under the cover of a revolution, or Russian fermented revolution. Those were all Russian soldiers in other uniforms pretending to be separatists. In fact, they were Moscow troops.
That's how they got Crimea.
That's how they got Crimea, and it's how they're going to get the rest of Ukraine if we let them. And when Biden says, I'm going to impose these sanctions and not these sanctions, come on. You got to sanction everything. And in the SWIFT banking system, which says we cut you off entirely from any international transaction.
Why do you think he did not do that today?
Because he's a chicken. Because he's scared of his own shadow. And Biden does not know how to use power. And the problem is that he has a number of enablers in the United States, people who are his apologists, who are saying, oh, no, it's not really an invasion, it's just an incursion. You know, in 1936, when Hitler occupied the Rhineland, the first of his expansions, the Lord Lothian, the ambassador to the U.S. from Britain, said, I think he's just walking into his own backyard. You know, don't be tough on him. And that's what Tucker Carlson, amazingly, on Fox News, said, that he would choose Russia over Ukraine. I mean, how short-sighted
and you're here to
can
say
you be?
It's not as simple as that. There's a lot more going on than here. And no, I would always point out that it's not Russia that's developing the vaccines. It's not Russia that's developing the great technological advances that we've had here in the United States. The Western democracies have, they've got a lot to show for what they've done.
It is Russia that's allied with China. This is not Russia against Ukraine. This is freedom against slavery. This is the work of Ronald Reagan, the work of 70 years of fighting enslavement of half of Europe, and that's what we're looking at here. And when Tucker Carlson and others say I would choose Russia over Ukraine, I mean, that's like saying I'll choose King George III over John Hancock.
Yeah. But at the same time, it does seem too little too late at this point, because now his troops in Donbass or Donetsk and Luhansk no longer covert. They don't have to be covert, and I think they'll stay, just like they're staying in Belarus.
It's not too little
Could
too
be the
late,
beginning.
because we have an audience. China's watching
Yeah.
and Iran is watching.
That's true.
And if we don't close down on Putin, we're going to have to
Yeah.
deal with Taiwan and an Iranian bomb.
And who's helping negotiate the Iran nuclear deal?
Yep.
Russia.
Yep.
Whole nother story. Okay, thank you,
I have a
Jay.
feeling you could talk a lot about this kind of thing. Maybe a show called Democracy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Check out Dick Morris on Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on Newsmax.